Go Blue, everyone. Can Michigan recover? It's all coming up next on Michigan Wolverines Live. And here we go for another episode of Michigan Wolverines Live, episode 221, Washington week. That's right, folks. We're on to Washington here at Michigan, the voice of college football. I'm John D'Adamo, and I'm going to take you through the next hour and a half or so. We're coming to you live from YouTube, from X, and from your favorite audio platform. We sound good on radio. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and iHeart. Leave a rating or review. As you join us, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, share with a friend. If everybody shares with at least one friend, we're going to get this thing rolling here. And of course, send us a super chat for your comment, your question to be read on screen. We do have a special guest today. Lars Hansen from Locked On Huskies is going to be coming on later in the show. So get your super chats ready for him as well. And without further ado, we got to bring on the man himself, TJ Ronin in the house. TJ, go Blue. Had a couple days to recover, I hope, from the debacle. And how you feeling?
Yeah, man. Honestly, I'm glad I had a few days to think on it. I did do a show with Minnie yesterday, so I had even more time to really collect my thoughts on it, and looking forward to today's show to kind of break it down, where I'm at with it, where we are as a program, and how, in my opinion, we should look at things going forward.
Absolutely. And, what also helps in times like these is great community. Obviously, we've got folks here from all over. We got Michigander, we got Marmar, we got Goats since Yost, we got members here. We got Wolverine formerly in Ohio with a not so rosy take here. We're cooked. Uh-oh. And Lance, everybody's going through it. And of course, Bull is here. Last night, your show with Minnie, great job. Minnie Hunt is what he's referring to there. Minnie Hunt for the Michigan Mondays, 7 p.m. Eastern. So great first show for you guys too.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So what makes this also good is we have two incredible sponsors, starting with Win Agency, and they have a little message for you with it being about to be Medicare season.
The Medicare annual enrollment period is here. Running from October 15th through December 7th, this is your opportunity to review your Medicare coverage and make any changes for the upcoming year. During this open enrollment period, you have the ability to move from one plan to another, or if you have prescription drug coverage and want to change plans, now is your opportunity to do that. Here's the key. Plans change every single year. Premiums, copays, and networks may be different in 2026. So even if you're happy with your current plan, it's smart to compare. And here's a few extra tips. Make a list of your prescriptions, your doctors, and we'll check to see if they're covered under your new plan. And don't wait until the last week. December 7th is the deadline. And if you need help sorting through your options, you can call us here at Win Agency and talk to a licensed Medicare professional who will help guide you through the process. Take advantage of this window to make sure you're covered with the best plan for your health and budget.
How about that from our folks at the Win Agency? Now that it's Medicare season, go check them out.
Yeah, shout out to Win Agency. I love seeing Steven on the video there, showing a little bit more the people part of that company. Like we've discussed, great company. Any of your health insurance or life insurance needs, reach out to Win Agency because they are the best agency.
Facts. And let's not forget about Healthy Dogma, which has a great line of dog-friendly products. Healthy Dogma is owned by Michigan alumni who know what loyalty means. For decades, the May family has cheered in the big house and always brings that same dedication to crafting clean, Michigan-made food for dogs. Check out healthydogma.com and use 25GoBlue because Michigan loyalty extends to our four-legged fans too. And so TJ's got his product right there. I've got I just got my box with some exciting stuff here. We got the flea and tick supplement.
Nice.
We got duck flavor bones. We got peanut butter and jelly. Let's go. Thanks to Healthy Dogma. Michigan fans too.
Yeah, they also have a joint supplement for your dogs. And here's like, we kind of talked about this on Saturday. I wanted to talk about it here. What you eat matters. The ingredients in your food, whether it's you or your animal, that does matter. And that's one thing I appreciate about this company. These are good ingredients. These are ingredients you can read, and they're good for your animal. And not only that, some people might be like, well, what's the price point on this stuff? Very competitive with your main brand food choices. So, I mean, I highly recommend looking into it. Go to their website. And if you do happen to find something you like, make sure you do 25 Go Blue as the code. So you can get a discount. So really excited to be partnered with them, and looking forward to seeing what our partnership can do.
And even easier, literally just hit that link that I just threw in the chat. It applies the code right away. So you get your discount right away. You don't even have to type anything in case you forget. But if you do forget to use the code or use the link, you can use the code too. So both work. Before we get to the first topic about the Michigan Standard and what it should be, we've got some super chats. Adam throwing it down right off the top. Adam, who's, of course, the host of Rutgers Scarlet Knights Live here at the Voice of College Football Network, kicking the show off with the 50. Michigan has a bright future, but is not there yet. More is not the primary issue. You have a true freshman quarterback who, while talented, needs time to grow. That's the issue. It's interesting because he has come around a little bit on Bryce. He's now admitting he's talented. He's been saying some nice things about Bryce.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he never said he wasn't talented. He just thought he had potential character red flags, in terms, like, it's a little bit of ego, right? He felt. But here's where I'll push back on the super chat a little bit. He goes, the quarterback needs time to grow. That there's truth there. But the issue is, and we will get into it obviously in the show, the players are not executing. There's a lack of fundamentals in this program. We have lost our identity, and there's even some more to that. So, I mean, it's really a top-down problem right now in Michigan, but appreciate Super Chat, Adam. Let's kind of see how this goes going forward, Michigan's trying to figure it out right now.
Absolutely trying to figure it out and building, and obviously we'll talk about this, but the workman-like mentality there. Wolverine, not so casual. Hear anything about Shamari Earls being unhappy?
You know what? I have not, but I'll send a text right now to see if I can get something on that. I don't know.
I think it's safe to say everybody's feeling about the same, right? Of like, not ideal, but it's 2 losses, and everything's still technically in front of Michigan. So I think a lot's going to hinge on this Washington game. Do they rally? Does the team rally? Do they put the right people in the right spots? Or is it more of the same? And I think that's going to go a long way in general.
Yeah, well, I think potentially, and I don't know. I don't know the situation or what the buzz is, but potentially maybe because Jaden Sanders is playing over Shamari Earls, maybe there's some frustration there. I don't know. I mean, again, I am assuming, but no, I'm not aware of anything with Shamari Earls, or maybe he's in the doghouse or something. I don't know. If I do find out anything, I will obviously bring it to the table.
Yeah, I mean, I bet he probably thought he'd get a little bit more playing time.
Well, don't do backflips before pregame, dog.
Yeah, don't do that. Well,
that literally took you out 2 games.
Literally.
Yeah.
GT says, my wife left me on Saturday, and that was only the second most disappointing thing I witnessed that day. There's GT with the rim shot there.
You hate to see it, GT. I'm sure the Michigan loss was number 1 in the ranking, but still hate to have 2 losses in one weekend. I lost. I had 2 losses this weekend. Actually, I had 3.
Oh.
Tigers let me down. Michigan let me down. And the refs effed us. The Lions let me down. I don't know if anyone watched that. It's terrible.
Marmar just throwing it out. Sharon his cheeks.
That's crazy. I really do got to talk. I got to talk to Mar. I got to talk to Mar because I saw his comments. I'm gonna have me and him have to talk, because I am, for him to be so again. I don't want to say it. I guess he is. I was gonna say so against Sharon. I mean, at Cheeks is against his. Marv supports all his guys, so for him to be out on Sharon's interesting.
Daniel says, "Thank you for letting fans speak freely in here, even if it's negative. I hurt Sam Webb's feelings today, so he called me a Buckeye fan, then blocked me from the live chat. LMAO, go blue." Wow.
Yeah, we're pro. I mean, look, even if there's a comment we don't agree with, or as long as it doesn't cross any lines, and I know John has the rules on that, we're pro free speech here, man. Even if there's something I don't agree with or disagree with, like whatever, like it's not gonna bother me. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. So I since we're on the topic, might as well address it, because I wasn't here. I was in the Centurion Lounge, trying to tap away at some work during all of this and getting on a plane. So I missed some of the stuff. But the bottom line is, people are free to talk in here. Yeah, and that's always going to be that's going to take priority over everything. However, we got 3 rules, and I want everyone to know that, right? No personal attacks. Be good to each other. If it's light, like if you're calling somebody something light, that's one thing. If you're being relentless about it, don't, that's where we're going to warn you and time you out, right? No racism, sexism, and no politics unless we're covering a political topic, which occasionally we have to do, but usually we try to steer away. And then rule 3, don't be a massive troll or jerk. I call that the Burks Ripstar rule. And so just stay away from those 3 and you're good. Otherwise, our mods are going to have to warn you. If it continues, we're going to have to time you out. So that's how we're going to do it from now on. And if anybody has any questions, just let me know. All right. With that said, we do want everybody to talk freely in here as much.
Well, I will say Daniel Thornton follows up on the super chat. He goes, "All I said on Sam Webb's video was that if Bryce realizes he's not getting development, he needs to succeed, he might transfer, and I wouldn't blame him." So I will just give my response. I am a firm believer that Bryce is not going to, and I understand your position. You're saying if Bryce realizes the program might not be trending in the right direction, he might not be developing, potentially, maybe he would think about transferring. I mean, I think it's hard to, project something like that, because the reality is I don't see him transferring considering the situation currently. And I think we're okay, but it's one of those things where time will tell.
Wolverine in Ohio, formerly in Ohio, says Sharon in his press conference just lacks passion for the game. He doesn't show intensity. He's robotic and comes with preloaded answers. Be better. Okay. I have a bit of an issue with this take, and here's why. Do we remember Jim Harbaugh? Do we have such a limited, look, and by the way, love you, Wolverine. But my point is, Jim Harbaugh gave nothing in his press conferences. He barely said a word. It was always better tomorrow, better today than you were yesterday, better tomorrow than you were today. It was all just phrases. He gave nothing away. Sharon is a little bit more open, at least in terms of just sharing things than Jim Harbaugh was. I have way more of an issue with how he acts in the game than I do. Yeah. I think the press conferences are theater and kabuki theater, and they are not at all. I don't think they should be part of the equation here.
It's one of those things, John. Well, here's what it really is, though. When you're winning, it's all good. When you're losing, people are going to find every single thing they don't like. That's just the reality of the game, right? Like when you're winning, the quirky stuff is cool. When you're losing, it's not. As Dan Campbell of the Detroit Lions, right? When he was losing, they were on his ass. And then he started winning, and he's the man all of a sudden, Sharon's just, he's all right. And we're going to get into it. When we talk about his blue collar shirt, we'll get into my position on this and what I think is really, really occurring. I know it really bothered the fan base,
Goats has one for you, TJ, that he wishes more had your guy Dan Campbell's presence and approach.
Well, I'll say this: a lot of fans of a lot of teams, pro or college, wish that. I mean, Dan Campbell's really unique, man. He's just authentic, and he has a really good football mind. And typically, yeah, and not only that, he's a former player, so he's got that dog mentality in him. So I mean, it's just and that's a rare one. But do we not? But I mean, here's where I think we can all agree. Would we like Jim Harbaugh, for example, former player? He used to have that passion, that fire. But to me, and I've said this before, to me, it's just Sharon is just lacking confidence right now. I think he has it in him, but he's still trying to find his way, man. He is not comfortable yet as a head coach. And I think that's one of the reasons we don't see a lot of animation out of him.
Courtney Harper says, I'll say it for great to see you again, by the way, Courtney. The other Courtney, of course, we also have my fiance, Courtney, who was just walking around. I'll say it for the people in the back. Wink has to go. Can't keep his job off 3 games talent. Bail him out. 3rd and longs is bad. Let Morgan take over.
I will say the Wink thing is, look, 2 years in a row, slow starts. Team's not playing well defensively. I do think that he will be one of the coaches who are going to be evaluated in the offseason and could be replaced.
I think everyone's got to be looked at. I think everyone, with the exception of Tony Alford and maybe a few others, I think there's some people who got to go. We'll talk about all that, but Wolverine not so casual with the 5. Savion Hyder's senior season so far, 19.7 yards per carry, scores a touchdown every 3.3 runs. He's going to be absolutely beastly for Michigan when he comes in.
He will get a lot of playing time his freshman year. I mean, he's that kind of player.
He's going to play as a true freshman.
Generational is not the right word, I don't think, but elite prospect out of high school. He's one of the top backs in the last 3 years to come out of high school.
Adam is just coming out there and balling, and we love you, Adam. Check out Adam's work every week on Rutgers Scarlet Knights at Voice of College Football channel. And just because he's been so cool to us today, I want to get a link over to that channel. I'm just going to throw this. If you guys haven't checked it out, Rutgers at the Voice of College Football. Fans are so quick to blame the coach when they lose. 1 week they're the hero, the next they should be fired. Please explain why Moore should be fired, given he is dealing with a true freshman quarterback, roster turnover, and why you think another coach would do better. So I'll start here that I don't think I'm not at the fire Sharon Moore yet. I am in wait and see mode to see what they do against Washington and the rest of the season. Do they rally like they did last year, or do they fall apart like Penn State? I'm still thinking it's going to be they rally, somewhat at least. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
Yeah, for me, it's like, I'll be honest. Like if I could press a button and make the change, absolutely. But that's not how this works, right? It's not that simple. And I'm also very aware of the reality of how this is probably going to go. And the reality is Sharon's going to get it. He's going to get it next year. So I am really in like observation mode. And this weekend, and I know a lot of fans feel similar here, this weekend's a big weekend. This is such a big weekend to see. One, how does he respond? How does the team respond? Do we get the victory? Can he rally the troops? Is the culture broken? Where are we as a program? Because this weekend is going to give us a lot of insight. And if it doesn't go how we want it to go, we're going to get look, the fan base, John, and because you ran a poll on Saturday, I ran a poll on Sunday, and there's been others who've ran polls very similar. It is really 80% wants Sharon gone, 20% wants him here, or 80% doesn't believe in him, and 20 do. It's basically been unanimous, or not unanimous, but it's been consistent across the board on the outcome of these polls. The fan base is very frustrated. But I know that the only way he is getting fired this year is if the boosters make that call.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way.
Isaiah Hull seems to think 7-5 or worse.
Really?
And he's gone. Or they're elite. He said on his show there could be tough conversations.
Interesting.
He didn't even go as far as to say he'll be fired. He just said there will be tough conversations.
Yeah, we should probably look at what the 7-5 even look like. I mean, right now we are 4-2, John?
Yeah. So it would be probably a drop to Washington, a drop to Maryland, a drop to Ohio State is what I would probably guess.
Yeah.
So basically every somewhat difficult opponent left.
I'll be honest. I think if we go 7-5, they don't fire him.
I don't think so either.
But we'll see.
I hate to say it.
Yeah.
But I think what all of this conversation is really getting to is a key question. A key question about what is exactly what should the Michigan standard be? Yep. And having gone to the school, class of 2014, I've seen the Dark Ages and Rich Rod and Brady Hoke, which I thought was very against Michigan standard. And I have seen Michigan obviously win a national title in 23, 3 Big Ten championships, 21 through 23, 4 straight Ohio State victories. And so for me, I want our school to be at the Ohio State kind of the, Alabama, Georgia at times level of top, always in the playoffs, competing for national championships, competing. If Ohio State can do it, why can't Michigan do it?
Yeah.
We beat their ass every year.
Yeah. So John, so this topic, when you sent me the show outline, I loved it because this is something that's been on my mind and also frustrating me, just reading some of the responses from some of the fans in the community. There is literally a portion of the community who feels as long as you beat Ohio State, it's a successful season. I am of the opinion that's insane. I think that is freaking insane to have that opinion. I understand the reasoning why they have that opinion. I also am of the position, and if anyone disagrees with me, we have a call-in show Thursdays, 8 p.m. Call in. Let's debate about it. I think that position is nothing but cope. I think that position is nothing but trying to keep some sort of victory within your loss so it doesn't hurt as bad. The reality to me, John, is Michigan is a top 10 program in this nation. Okay. The standard to me is you recruit at a top 10 level. You beat your rivals. That includes Michigan State. That includes Ohio State and Notre Dame when they're not running. That includes winning and competing for Big Ten championships, not even competing, making the playoffs and competing for national titles. That is the standard at Michigan. Anything less than that is fucking insane. And if anyone thinks the program should not be held to that standard, it's because you're afraid to hold the program to that standard. And to John's point about, why is Michigan's standard not as high as Ohio State's? And I know damn well there are Buckeyes watching this, and I know there are Buckeyes watching this. We know. We're even getting reaction videos to our clips. But
yes.
Before Ohio State had such an advantage on the recruiting trail. That gap has shrunk in the last 2 years. We are now recruiting in a similar league as Ohio State in terms of recruiting. And Michigan can go out and get whatever player they want. And they always, so far, in the new NIL era, in the new backing and with the donor support, we are getting our number 1 target every year, and we are landing other players who are very high up on the board. Carter Meadows, number 3 player in the nation. That wasn't even our number 1 target. Savion Hyder was. We got them both. Michigan's looking to make some flips here in the next few months. Recruiting for the channel, by the way, we'll start picking up starting next week. But that's the standard. And anything less than that is bullshit. And to me, it's nothing more than cope. This is a new era of college football, guys. We're in the playoff era. And we're not just in any playoff era. We're in the expanded playoff era where 12 teams get in. If Michigan is not a top 12 team every freaking year, we are failing. Now, I can understand last year being a rebuild year, first year of the job for Sharon Moore, left in a bad spot by Jim Harbaugh. Completely understand and can respect that. That's fine. You got your rebuild year. We're now in year 2. This is a results business. We have to meet these standards. I'll tell you this much. I'm very confident the donors have that standard. And I know that because the donors want to win championships. They've even said this. Dave Portnoy's talked about this publicly. They're not spending tens of millions of dollars on players, which they are, to not make playoffs and compete for national titles. This is the new standard in Michigan. Like, this is the standard across the board for the top programs in the nation, John. There's no reason we should not be up there. There's nothing. The only thing that holds Michigan back from other programs who have similar objectives and goals is Michigan has a bit of an academic hurdle, but that's not enough to not have the same exact goals and standards in terms of results at the end of seasons. And the only areas that recruiting stuff really hurts us is transfer portal, which is a big deal. And I'm really interested to see how this next transfer portal goes, but that's another topic for another day. We could talk about my concerns there, and I kind of hit on it yesterday, but that's where we are, John. In my opinion, that's the standard. Anything less than that's fucking insane. But by the way, if you do have an opinion that we are not aligned or you disagree, that's fine. Like, we can disagree on this, but if you want to debate it Thursday 8 p.m., I'm here for it.
Yeah, let me be very clear. When people say, "Oh, 2025 was always going to be like another rebuild year. It was always going to be like that," that makes me furious. You don't go out and get the number 1 recruit in the country. You don't go out and get the talent and build up and retain the talent that we've retained on defense and on offense. You don't do all of that and pay $12 million for a quarterback. You don't do all of that to go 7-5 again. And that's what TJ, that's what really gets me. Because there's no reason when Curt Cignetti is taking Indiana, Indiana, who's known for going 3-9 every year, folks.
Yeah.
And year 1, he's 11-1. He goes to the playoff with Indiana. Year 2, he's undefeated right now.
Right.
He just defeated Oregon, who a lot of people had as a potential national championship and still have as maybe a national championship contender.
And at Oregon,
at Eugene.
On the freaking road. Spotlight, nationally televised. Ohio State didn't even accomplish that. And I have talked to some Ohio State fans. They are so impressed with that victory because they know how hard it is, right? We know how hard it is. We just lost to USC out west. We know how hard it is to go out there. Indiana was the dominant team. Now, look, the Curt Cignettis of the world are very rare. It is rare to find a coach, so rare to find a coach who can literally make the talent play above its level. And not only that, play as a team at the same time. And that's what he's doing right now. Now, look, Sharon Moore is not Curt Cignetti, is what it is. But we have a coach who is learning on the job right now. But at the end of the day, there still needs, look, John, we've talked about in the offseason what is considered a bad season. And the fans think anything less than 10 wins is considered a bad season. I know this because I've had these talks. My prediction was 9-3 originally. And fans would think that would be a failure of a season. You have to, that, to your point about the Underwood thing. Underwood has a 3-year window here, boys. Are we going to burn this year? And then what's next year? That don't make sense to me.
No,
that don't make sense to me at all. And that's disgusting, quite honestly. I don't even like that. I don't even like thinking about that.
No.
Yeah. So next year has got to be put up or shut up. Period. If I promise you guys, there's no way Sharon Moore will survive next season if it's anything like this. I promise you, there's just no way. And it's not even just me talking as a fan's perspective. It's just there's no way. There's no way the donors would support such a thing. There's just no way. So we'll see, man. I mean, we'll see how the season plays out. But in my opinion, to just rehash it, close it out here, Jen, unless you got some final thoughts, beat your rivals, recruit at a top 10 level, compete for Big Ten championships. The reason why I say compete and not win is because just get to that game. Win, obviously, but if you don't, make the playoffs. make the playoffs, then compete for a national title. That's the standard. Anything less than that's insane to me. It's insane to me.
This is Michigan. This is a premium university, $20 billion endowment, one of the best universities in the world when it comes to education and historically sports, right? How many national championships across all of the
leaders and best, John?
Leaders and best. And so I think top 10 every year is what I want. I want playoffs. Yes. I want at least competing for national titles, and I want to beat Ohio. That's what I want.
Yeah.
So is all of that going to happen every year? Of course not, because football isn't as a battle of wills, right?
Right.
But at the very least, I want to be in the competition nationally every single year. And right now we're falling short.
And there's no reason to not demand that from your program. We have the financial back and we have the support. The truth of the matter is, the thing that's holding us back right now as a team is coaching, not talent. Okay? And the fans know this, which is why they're frustrated. I'm frustrated. Okay? So it's frustrating. And to your point, like, are you going to accomplish all those goals every year? No, there's going to be a year where we lose to rivals, but we can win the Big Ten title. There's going to be years where we do beat the rival, but we lose the Big Ten title, but we make a playoff run. Look at Ohio State last year. Lost to their rival. Didn't even go to the Big Ten championship, or what happened to Big Ten? That's right. They didn't win the Big Ten championship, still won a natty, right? You may not hit every objective along the way, but as long as you can at least ideally hit all your objectives, but again, to hit them all is very, not everyone's 2023 Michigan, okay? Not everyone can hit every single target and objective, even when your coach is suspended on a witch hunt. But just you have to hit these goals and objectives. You have to at least compete for these goals and objectives. We right now are not even in the Big Ten championship conversation. We right now are one loss away from not even being in the playoffs. Not good enough. And we have only 2 more years of Bryce Underwood.
Yep. He's leaving after the 2 years.
And guess what, John? 100%. And guess what, John? The reason why things were a little better is because they have a true freshman wide receiver now catching balls who led the team 8 receptions for 130 yards in his very first game starting because nobody else on this roster could do it. Frustrating.
Yeah, and we will get to now specifics on what we think should be improved, but we do have a bunch more super chats actually. Thank you, everybody. 89, Dr. Funk. If Moore doesn't make the playoffs when he looks at his staff, he better get some experienced assistants to save his bacon. Well, he's already started to do that, right? Castillo, Soup, he's got Biff back. So that was supposed to be what happened in this past offseason, bringing in some of these people. And so what now are we going to have more assistants to shore up J.B. Brown and to shore up the others who are being mid-tier coaches right now or just straight up bad? Is that what we're going to do? No, we're going to fucking fire J.B. Brown or demand that he's fired, right? We need to fire potentially Wink, potentially some others. Grant Newsom, I want to see him on a train or plane or automobile. We don't fire coaches during the season. I think the last time was 2003 or something like that. But at the very least, just like Kirk Campbell, like 2 days after the Ohio State game, you're Grant Newsom, gone. J.B. Brown, gone. Ron Bellamy, fucking gone. I don't want to see this anymore. Wink Martindale, enjoy your retirement.
This offseason is going to be a similar the objective for Sharon has to be a similar offseason to what Jim Harbaugh did at the end of the 2020 season. He needs to fully evaluate every weak, vulnerable point in the organization, make the change because his back is now against the wall. It will be if the season continues on this trajectory, Sharon Moore's back will be against the wall, and he's gonna have to man up and make some tough decisions because next year cannot be like this.
And by the way, Courtney is completely. I'm in alignment here with Courtney on who to keep. Sharon Moore, depending on how Washington goes, because I am holding out my fire Sharon if that game goes like USC.
I
If
think
that
most
game
of the
goes
fan
like
bases.
USC, I'm going scorched earth. Okay.
Yeah.
Alford, Casula, Morgan, Lindsay. Yeah. And people are ragging on Chip. Why are people ragging on Chip Lindsay?
Yeah, there's
Like,
a lot of people.
Was the play calling perfect? No, it was not. But that was nowhere near the worst issue. And we're going to get to some of the specifics here in a little bit here. Just want to keep rocking and rolling through these. Michigander, we need to go back to fundamentals. No more spreads. But spreads just too complex for these kids. Let's go back to pro style. That's what this program is and always will be. Well, Michigander, with what line?
Yes.
With what O-line?
Exactly. We don't have an offensive line to run a power run game. We do not have Michigander and Tenny and to our audience. We do not have the personnel to run a pro style offense and run it down your throat. We are not the bully on the field anymore. We are not. USC just showed that. Okay. Oklahoma showed that. We are now being out physicaled on the field right now.
Fuck Ohio says, come at me then, TJ. So I know what it means there. Oh, interesting.
I'm not sure I know what the fuck he's talking about, but that's my guy there, so we'll figure it out.
Now Quinn has been on one about Sharon for a little bit here, and I understand why. I get it. Honest question: are you willing to let Moore ruin a generational QB? Name one 5-star QB who has succeeded with a garbage O-line. We have 3 years with Bryce. Year 1 and 2 will fly by. No one recovers by year 3 with a new coach. So he's laying out the case to fire Sharon this year, basically, if it doesn't turn around. Listen, I guess immediately.
If Michigan made the decision to move on from Sharon Moore, I would completely understand and support Michigan's decision. Obviously, I'm just trying to look at it from a realistic perspective. I think they will give him next season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I will
Michigan,
say, I think Chris Drew has an interesting point on this. He thinks, and it might have been him and Zach Smith who said this. I'm not entirely sure, so my bad there.
Okay.
But their position is the Sharon Moore contract initially was actually designed so this way, if there was NCAA fallback, they could cut ties with Sharon Moore far easier. My point to go off of that is the contract is not insane. Michigan really could cut ties fairly easily. It's about 13. I want to make a correction too. I said the buyout on Saturday night was about $4 million. I misread it. It's about $13.5 million. It'll be 75% of his remaining contract. The $4 million is if Sharon Moore were to go to another team while employed at Michigan. Then they would owe Michigan $4 million. But yeah, so that's where we are. So it's about $13.5 million, which is really not much. I mean, it's a lot to us, but it's really not much in the grand schemes of things. Just ask Penn State. But yeah, I think it is interesting that Sharon Moore's contract is definitely terminatable, but I just don't feel Ward Manuel. I don't see him operating like that unless there's pressure that's above him, and the regions are not going to apply that pressure.
Michigander says, what gets me is fans who are content with 9-3.
That's funny. I mean, I'm a fan who is
I'd be okay. I mean, okay. Define content. Like, because I think I would put away the pitchfork. I'll put away the pitchfork if it's 9-3. I'm not going to be content with 9-3. I'm going to be perturbed. But I'm not going to be like outrageous, like just out completely off the wall.
Yeah, the reason why I would be okay with 9-3 is because I understand, to Adam Lamparello's point earlier on, we have a young quarterback. He's growing, he's developing, he's learning. And we have holes still on this roster that we are quite all aware of. So I feel 9-3 is a realistic target for this team. But don't get me wrong, I want more than 9-3, but I'm just trying to be realistic and not have unrealistic standards and expectations for a program that I'm not sure is ready to take the step to 10, 11, definitely 12-0. I mean, look at our coaching staff, look at the gaps on the roster. We may not even hit 9-3 now. I hear you, boys. I'm not mad at anybody who's not happy. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I am not upset with anybody who does not find 9-3 acceptable, because you know what? You should want more. You should. Let's
keep knocking this out. Adam, with the 50, Michigan has a winnable schedule going forward, and its playoff chances will likely come down to the Ohio State game. If Underwood can grow substantially in the next month, there is a chance you can beat Ohio State. Look, Ohio State does look beatable, but not with the Michigan team that we saw against USC. But they do look beatable.
Yeah, if we win the rest of our schedule, the Ohio State game will determine our playoff hopes or not, which will be effing insane. All right, let's just play hypothetical because it's fun. Let's say we do win out, and we are going into the Ohio State game at, what is it? We would be 9-2, right?
9-2.
And then we beat Ohio State at home.
That'd be beautiful.
Insane. What a great time. That game would have so much pressure on it. Now, I'll tell you this, if you look at the other perspective here, Ohio State beats us to keep us out of the playoffs. Oh my God, that'd be a wet dream for that fan base.
Oh yeah.
Shit. They'd be on our ass all off season too.
They'd be loving that. 89 Dr. Funk. Let's knock through these pretty quick. So we gotta keep rolling on the show here. We're gonna get to we got Lars coming up in a little bit to give us the Washington preview. Indiana was able to turn around fast because of administration is not holding them back of the portal. Michigan is a different story. So basically, they're saying they have a lot more freedom in the portal than Michigan does. Is Dr. Funk's contention there?
Yeah, they have. Yes, most teams are operating with an academic exemption for transfer portal players. Michigan does not, and that could be an issue come January for the transfer portal, which we talked about before. I talked about yesterday.
We got Kane here with the 7 Canadian, 2023 Keegan and Blake leading us out the tunnel, looking like they're going to kill somebody. Saturday, 18-year-old QB leading us out there doing a TikTok dance. That's Sharon.
Hold on. So the video of Bryce Underwood coming out of that tunnel, that's not a TikTok dance. To me, he is getting hyped up and ready to walk out on that field. And to be honest, he looked hyped up. You know what I mean? Like he was doing more than a head nod. You know what I'm saying? Like he was just feeling it. He was like, a TikTok dance is when you're in a little fucking circle, a little circle jerk. And then one guy goes and then another guy goes like shaking their asses with the little boyfriends. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's the most goofy shit ever. That's TikTok dance shit to me. We like to call that the Ohio State special. Yeah, it's not for us. You know what I mean? It's not for us.
No. He also asks, why do we feel it's acceptable for a first-time head coach to learn to ride with his training wheels on at the University of Michigan? This ain't the place. I agree. Well, I don't think Michigan should be an on-the-job training type place. I don't think so. I think you got to have experience coming in.
I'm not sure we feel it's acceptable, but here's the reality. Jim Harbaugh co-signed this. This was his recommendation to the university. Mm-hmm. You know, we talked about this on Saturday, John, but Jim Harbaugh, before the NCAA stuff came to light, in Jim Harbaugh's contract that he was in the process of building his extension with Michigan, in his contract, he wanted Sharon Moore to be the head coach in waiting.
It's true.
Well, unfortunately, Jim Harbaugh left and we got thrown Sharon, you know, so.
And of course, remember, Josh Gaddis was notoriously very unhappy about Sharon Moore being.
Well, and Mike Hart. They both were pissed about
Mike Hart. Yeah.
That's why Mike Hart. That's one of the reasons Mike Hart's not here.
So I will say, you think it's bad now? Imagine Josh Gaddis as the head coach of Michigan. So it could be worse, folks. Quinn, playoffs every year, coaches get fired. This is Michigan. No other top 15 program needs rebuilding years with the portal.
I don't know. I mean, you know what's funny is every team goes through a downtime. They really do. I mean, Florida, Miami's gone through it. I mean, USC just went through one. Every team really. The only team who doesn't really go through a downtime is the losers below us, Ohio State. Those losers do win consistently, so we'll give them some flowers. And then Georgia's been on a good run here in the Kirby Smart era. But majority of programs have these downturns. Oregon's been on a run for a while. I mean, look at Clemson. Clemson went on a downturn. I mean, they were playing, you know, they've had some bad seasons recently. We just need to bounce back quicker. And also there is no excuse in the NIL era to not make a 12-team playoff. Not. Now, I know Jim Harbaugh left, so it makes things a little different. But we got to do better.
Blue says Moore came back and Underwood appears to have regressed. Coincidence?
So this is an interesting comment from Blue Wolverine. Did you happen to watch, and I didn't get to watch the whole thing, Jake Butt and Devin Gardner's what's the name of their podcast? It's a newer podcast.
Blueprint.
Yeah. Did you hear what Devin Gardner said?
I've heard. I listened to some of it.
He thinks Bryce Underwood's regressing.
Yeah, and he said that a lot of it, and we're about to talk about the O-line and some of the other things that need to get shored up. And he specifically mentioned the O-line and the fact that Bryce is getting hit.
Yeah.
And he's losing confidence in the pocket because he's understandably so because his line isn't protecting him.
Yeah. I'm all right. So I'm not sure he's regressing, but I will say the team played better when Sharon Moore was not on the sideline.
This is true. Michigander says there's a reason why Jimmy didn't take Sharon.
There's people who think that. There's
people who think
that.
Yeah. And Takane says, by we, not you guys, TJ, the fans defending Moore.
Yeah. I know. I hear you.
So we just started alluding to it, and then we've got Lars coming in a few minutes here. But real quick, we just want to touch on this topic: what specifically must improve? And we're talking season wide here, the rest of the season, and I think it has to start with the offensive line. You know, John Madden famously said that football is won or lost in the trenches. Won or lost in the line play.
Yeah.
And specifically the offensive line, I don't understand if Afobe is better than El Hadi, why isn't Afobe out there? If Blake Frazier may be better than Evan Link, why isn't he out there? Like, I want to see the best and I've said this now, I feel like I'm a broken record on this. I want to just see the best 5 play in the roles that make the most sense for them. And I want to see Grant Newsome on a tarmac and never to coach the O-line again. Sharon Moore, time for you to take the reins. Castillo can help you out. Something's got to change. What do you think about the O-line?
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously the O-line needs to improve. It needs to play better. They should have their best 5 out there. Look, what sucks is El Hadi came back this weekend and played absolutely terrible. I can pull the grades up here in a moment. Like if we could look at this real quick, I'll pull it up really quick, John. Right here, I got it. Look, Evan Link had an okay game, but Sprague had our best game. Granera had his best game. So Sprague and Granera played well. Crippen played terrible. El Hadi was our worst offensive lineman in the game. And actually Evan Link had a pretty decent PFF grade. But at the end of the day, bro, this offensive line has to do more, has to protect Bryce, has to give him time to throw, and has to create running lanes. Obviously, that's critical. What else must specifically improve, John? We need our identity, our attitude back. We need to be attacking defensively. We need our run. Our run defense is crap. Where'd that go? That's gone. I'm not even entirely sure that that's even fixable at this point. We are not the bully on the field anymore. We need to get back to that. And maybe that's why Sharon Moore wore his blue collar jacket this week, that I know a lot of people in the fan base were very frustrated with, because they feel like this is gimmicky. They feel like, but me and John were talking before the show, this is kind of paying homage to the Harbaugh era, because this is what Harbaugh would do. This goes back all the way to 2016. And like I mentioned
2015,
earlier,
this started.
When you're winning, these gimmick things are cool. When you're losing, you're going to be questioned. You're going to be challenged. And the fan base is not find it funny, cute, or sweet. To be honest, a lot of people are very frustrated. They're actually more out on Sharon Moore after that and now, to be honest, the rivals are taking liberties with memes, taking advantage of Sharon Moore doing that. But at the end of the day, it's on him to shut the rivals up and get a victory this Saturday and moving forward. But what else must improve? We got to be better at tackling. We got to be more fundamentally sound. These are all things that can be cleaned up. We have to be a better team. We look like a very poorly coached team. We look like a team who has talent but does not play together. And what sucks is we are getting worse as the season's progressing. Now, granted, the level of competition is improving, so you could argue it's exposing more flaws. But I would argue the team is just not being coached right, and we're just getting sloppy. So like that's what needs to improve. It is the coach, the things that are coachable. Because it's like Wink's got to get this defense tighter. And now, and the offensive line's got to play better. I mean, it's just where we are, man. It's just we are a poor functioning team right now. And we are not operating at a level we should be at. Week 7? We're now week 7. It's just we got to play better, man.
Yeah, I don't like what I'm seeing on the sidelines at times. I don't like what I'm seeing, like Bryce Underwood laughing at when we're down by 17 points or whatever that is. I don't like some of like Sharon Moore. I want to see him just get after people a little bit more. Like, I just don't think it's that dictatorship mentality. I think, and again, I know people push back on this, but it does kind of seem like on the sidelines and just the general vibe when Sharon is talking to them at the press conferences and everything else, it's like a friend vibe. It's not dictator.
Right. We have a coach who's a friend, not a coach right now. That's not good. We need a coach who is going to coach his players and hold them accountable. Maybe we see that transition now that we took a hard loss, but we'll see, man. I mean, whatever is occurring right now is just not good enough. And the other thing that sucks is there's a lot of issues. So you can't just point to one thing. This is a mixed bag, and that's not good either, because we should be further along in this trajectory in Sharon Moore's year 2. But right now we are in a position where we are questioning the direction of the program, which is wild. It's wild to be at this point right now.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, we could keep going, but I think defense, obviously some of the people not knowing what to do on defense, not knowing where to go. Too many people going to one side, too many just things happening that are head scratchers. Like, why are we getting burned on these screenplays? Why are we getting burnt? Like why not adjust? If we're playing too much zone, play a little bit more man. Why can't we just adjust to, like, why could Lincoln Riley screen us to death like that the entire game? It's one thing if it starts off that way and then you adjust, and then you fix it right later on.
Yep, I agree with you. And this is, again, we're falling, like, again, it's frustrating because it's not a talent issue, it's a coaching issue. That's frustrating because there's it's what it is, though.
Yeah. Folks, I've just turned on the subscriber only chat. If you aren't subscribed right now, definitely be subscribed. I can already see it's cleaning up the chat a little bit. I forgot to do it earlier, so that should help things out in the chat a little bit more. Before we're about to bring on our special guest Lars Hansen from Locked On Huskies, but before we do have a few more messages from our sponsors, starting with Win Agency.
Hey, Michigan fans. We had a tough loss, but here at the Win Agency, we're all about bouncing back. Whether you need a small amount of coverage to protect your family against medical emergencies or a powerful plan that can greatly reduce your medical expenses next year, we have you covered. We also offer specialized hospital and travel plans because protection matters most where life is unpredictable. Call us today or visit our website to explore your options.
That's Win Agency. Always great folks. And it is that time. It's almost Medicare time. So click on those links that I'm putting right in the chat if you have a need for health or life insurance, because they've helped us so much. Let's help them as well. And then, of course, if you have a dog, you're a dog lover, we now have another sponsor. We've got Healthy Dogma. So Healthy Dogma is our brand new sponsor, led by, of course, Michigan fans. And so with that, every Michigan fan knows the feeling of family. And for many of us, that includes our dogs. Healthy Dogma believes in feeding them like family with the ingredients you'd find in your own kitchen. Order at healthydogma.com using code 25GoBlue to save 25%. There you go. Got some duck flavored bones right here. Got peanut butter and jelly. They got all kinds of good stuff. So check them out. And I've got the link right here for you guys to get a 25% discount if you guys have a dog and you want to help a Michigan alum and supporter of our network. That's how you do it. Okay. With that said, let's bring on our special guest for the week. So he's back with us. We've got Lars Hansen here from Locked On Huskies. Lars, really appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having me on, John. And TJ, good to see you guys as always. TJ wearing the hat for you as always last year. I remember that about you, so gotta get that in there. I'm looking forward to this one because it's gonna be an interesting game for sure.
Yeah.
You could say that again. And obviously very interesting that Michigan is favored by 5.5 from our sponsor, our friends at FanDuel. Michigan favored by 5.5, over under 50.5. So some scoring is expected, Lars, in this game. And 5.5 is an interesting amount given it is at the Big House, but with recent struggles, especially against USC, how do you see kind of the big picture of this game and the matchup ahead?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because being at home for Michigan, I wasn't surprised that they were favored, but if you think about the Ohio State line, it was 8.5 at Husky Stadium. Ohio State being the number one team in the country, that makes a little bit of sense. I would have thought maybe 10, 11 points for that one. So it does give a little credence to Washington, but you look at the matchup, and getting TJ was bringing up the PFF grades. I'm looking at basically two polar opposites in this game. Washington has all the highest offensive grades. Michigan has all the highest defensive grades. There's only two players for Washington, I think, that are in the top 12 when you combine both teams. And one of them might not even play. And that's Zach Durfee, the senior edge rusher, who had a great game against Wazoo and then, again, got hurt. He's been basically not the story of his career, but just hasn't been able to appear as much as fans would like him to. So Alex McLaughlin is basically the guy for Washington's defense. If Michigan fans want to know who, to scout on Washington's defense, it's Alex McLaughlin. He's going to make pretty much every play. He's going to be around every play. But aside from that, you're looking at kind of not a patchwork defense, but a will bend but not break. You can do a job, but it's not going to look the prettiest. Whereas on offense, if you let Damon Williams get going, he could have 28 points by himself at halftime. Like, that is how special Damon is. I remember talking to his dad and a few people around him before he was, ever played a game in Washington. And I said, it's a bit of Kyler Murray and a bit of Russell Wilson. the deep ball accuracy that he had, the zip that Russell Wilson, the prime Russell Wilson, I should say, prime, not New York Giants Russ that was getting booed off the field and that sort of thing. But, Russ at his peak was immaculate down the field, but also could scramble, found the, when to hit the holes and scramble and run. And DeMond's done that. And I think even better because he's a better athlete than Russ was, in terms of at his age at that time. But this will be his 9th career start. So put that into a little bit of perspective. That's, it's a big atmosphere for him to go into.
Yeah, let's go into DeMond Williams because I think it's fascinating. Obviously had a great day, 38-19 over Rutgers. Really, really stellar performance against, what I would argue is consistently a good defense, Shiano's defense at Rutgers. What do you think went into that performance? And do you think that the offense has felt kind of, fire? I mean, Jed Fish, both TJ and I have a lot of respect for based on what he did at Michigan when he was in the pass game. And then what happened when he left and Tim Drevno had to run the pass game and how things went right down the toilet in 2017. So you could see how Jed Fish, and also we had Grant Perry a couple weeks ago talking about how Jed Fish would have him catch 200 passes. If he didn't catch 200 pass attempts, then they would get after him the next day. So he was talking to us about Jed Fish and his impact on offense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's Jed Fish's bread and butter. And if there is one coach that I have been around in my decade plus now covering UW that is, hyped up, but legitimately believe like, hey, since I watched him as a freshman in high school, this was going to be my guy where I'm going to build my potential future, where if Jed is in the NFL in 2 or 3 years with DeMond Williams, I wouldn't be surprised. I would, a little bit surprised, but again, if it comes to fruition, I wouldn't be, that surprised because you look at last year when he had Will Rogers, it wasn't Jed at his best. It was Jed kind of making do with things and bringing DeMond along because it was always going to be DeMond's show. And there's something special between those two where DeMond has full autonomy from Jed in terms of when he calls the read option and he says, you decide what you want to do. And so when he goes off for a 40-plus yard run here and there, and when I say here and there, I'm talking basically every other drive. That's DeMond's decision. That's not Jed telling him to do anything. And I think that speaks to the level of trust that Jed has in DeMond because Jed's been around, quarterbacks where Cam Newton, you go down the list of guys that Jed's been around. And I think this might be his best pairing of quarterback and coach that, you could ever put Jed with. And that says a lot, but I think Jed has finally got everything that he wants in terms of he's got his quarterback, he's got Denzel Boston as his number one receiver, and the amount of guys emerging in this freshman class is ridiculous. Where you have, I think, 3 or 4 guys you could legitimately say are contributors on offense alone. John Mills being the left guard, and then Desmond Roebuck and Rain Reinspat as 2 receivers. He's just letting it rip, and I think this is kind of what Jed envisioned, but I would say 26 is really when it's going to come all together. But even still this year, it's been pretty kind of tantalizing to see.
Yeah, I think one area, if Michigan was going to exploit the offensive-defensive matchup, it does appear, Lars, and correct me if I'm wrong, but just looking at the stats here, one of the vulnerabilities on your offense is you guys are giving up a fair amount of sacks this season. I mean, obviously you have a very good, offensive, team here, both through the air and running game. I mean, Coleman here has having an excellent season, but if there's one area of vulnerability that I'm looking at least statistically speaking, it does appear that Michigan could potentially make some impact in getting to the quarterback. Now, Lars, don't fret. We seem to be having trouble getting to the quarterback. Ask USC, we didn't get to their quarterback at all last game. Even though we do have 15 on the season, which is pretty good. But, what's your thoughts there? Like, what is the mismatch, or what is the matchup you think between the defense and the offense that could determine that matchup?
I think whether Carver Willis plays it and starts at left tackle or not, that's going to be a huge difference because Max McCree, his backup, was a 2-time JUCO All-American. He's got a great story, actually, if you go, dive into it. He left football for about 1.5 years. His mom had breast cancer. Dad had a slip disc. So he had to quit football and bail out of Maryland 2 games into the season and go, move back to Missouri and help the family. Came back to Washington, came back to football flat out last season at Washington, didn't get cleared to the Eastern Michigan game, ironically. And he's been okay. He's a solid backup in terms of, he's a good veteran, experienced guy, but there's a massive drop off between Carver Willis, who I would say could be a, honorable mention Big Ten, recipient at the end of the season, if not slightly better, and Max, who will get starts and be that journeyman offensive lineman, but there's a significant drop off, and that's no shot at Max or anything like that. But the same can't be said at left guard. So I think that's why I would highlight that left tackle position as a key, where if you can get that matchup to Michigan's favor, that's where that exactly. But the interesting kind of counter for both of these points, because you're absolutely right. I do agree that Washington's absolutely vulnerable when it comes to giving a pressure. You have the best magician at quarterback to evade that pressure. And all of Washington's success has come behind Drew Azzopardi, the right tackle, Garen Hatchett, the right guard, and Landon Hatchett as the younger brother at center. Jonah Coleman or Damon, pick one. They've had, I think, 75+% of their runs have gone to the right side.
Yeah.
So, and teams know that, and they still can't stop him. So Drew's improved massively on the right side. So if there's a vulnerability, it's on the left side. But I would say even the left guard, Pocky Finau, who's filling in for John Mills, as he, I think he's going to be out for about a month, give or take. I don't, conservative opinion, not from Jed or anybody, not sourcing that, just a rough opinion there. He's just as good. I think John Mills is slightly better because he's got better size, he's a better run blocker and things like that. But Pocky was a 4-star, and Kalen was very high on him. Ryan Grubb and that old staff before Jed were very high on Pocky. So there really hasn't been a fall off at any position except left tackle. And I feel like when you can mitigate, if your 4 or your 5 linemen are, able to still be above average and one is just kind of getting a passing grade, if you will.
Okay. So it does look like, breaking down some of these numbers from the Rutgers game, that the receiving game, 402 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns, pretty wild stuff. It does look like DeMond himself was the primary rusher. So looks like the quarterback had to. Is that because you think Rutgers took away some of the other options? And they just kind of had to go with the quarterback run at that point?
In a way, but also your best asset, you might as well use him. I think a lot of that was DeMond keeping the ball for himself. And I'll be honest, there was a couple of decisions that DeMond made that were terrible in terms of keeping the ball. But when he also runs for 135 and 2 touchdowns, you can't really nitpick that. One of, I think, 16 quarterbacks that throw for 400 and rush for 100 in a game in NCAA history. There's only so much where you can say, hey, we got to force feed the ball to Jonah or Adam Muhammad, who I do think is, worth mentioning. Greg Schiano gave him a shout out before last week, and he hasn't been as much of a factor this season as I thought he might be. But I think, again, that to TJ's point goes back to the offensive line struggles, where the ball in DeMond's hands is better than anybody else in terms of that says a lot, because Jonah Coleman, I think, still leads the nation in rushing touchdowns. I could be mistaken on that. He's certainly one of the top 3, if not the top guy at running back still. But the offensive line hasn't opened the holes. And DeMond can open a hole that's not there, or exploit a hole left or right on the edges that is or isn't there. And that's kind of what the Rutgers game showed, where, and worth noting, it was a tale of 2 halves. Like, either was down 13-10 at halftime. So they're a very gettable team in the first half, but you have to put them away in the first half, whereas it's kind of death by 1,000 cuts, where if Washington's if it's even a 20-10 game at halftime, and Michigan's up, that game ain't over, not even close. And I think it really takes until 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter with that same score where I would actually start to then be concerned.
Yeah, it's interesting because one would say traditionally that this was a strength on strength and then weakness on weakness type matchup, but with what happened against USC, that, to me, that's all discombobulated right now. So you would think that the Michigan offense versus Washington defense might be the more the weakness on weakness, but maybe not this year. Who knows?
Well, one last thing, John, on Washington's offense versus our defense. They lead the Big Ten in third down conversions.
Oh boy.
So, and we are Michigan is currently 10th in holding teams at 37%. I believe Washington's around 55%. That is a killer for us. That is something that has been tough for us this year, something we need to watch. I think that'll be a critical point in the game. Washington is currently tied with USC at 55.22%. What's interesting is they have the same amount of conversions, 37 to 57 attempts. So they're identical right now, which is interesting.
Yeah, as you said that, I just pulled that up and I kind of laughed in my head there because it very much could be a rinse and repeat of the USC game, but also ironically, go look at UW's opponent third down conversions, not that great in terms of, I think they ended up with Rutgers, being rather passable, but yeah, they're 14th in the Big Ten in opponent third down, allowing I think 41, and somewhere in that range, where the bottom half of the bottom tier of the Big Ten. So if it becomes a shootout, again, this is kind of what I've been saying on Lockdown Huskies. I'm taking Washington because no disrespect to Bryce and Justin Hayes and all those guys, but if you're taking a shootout, it's Washington. If you're taking a close game, I still take Washington, but I'm a little more reserved. But again, you just look at the matchup, and it's like if it's a 10-3 game at the final, I'm betting DeMond somehow finds 6 somewhere in there.
So this is a perfect transition, John, into Michigan's offense versus Washington's defense, because what's interesting here is Washington has one of the best run defenses in the Big Ten, currently ranked second, only giving 82 yards a game, which is interesting because, we're not sure about the Justice Haynes situation. Is he playing? Is he not? I'm leaning he's not going to play, but we'll see. Now, Jordan Marshall did play well when he stepped in for Justice Haynes, but let's just be very honest here. Marshall is not Haynes. Haynes was almost in Heisman consideration up to his injury. And then the thing about Washington's defense to me, Lars, and again, correct us if we're off base here, the vulnerability part of the defense for Washington looks to be the aerial attack. And that is one of the areas where, I guess you would argue, where does Michigan rank currently in the Big Ten on that? Currently, Michigan is 12th. Now, I will say we think we have an emergence freshman at wide receiver, along with Donovan McCauley, who's a pretty good player. We do have some tight ends who have some threat capability, but we are trying to find ourselves still. So this will be the matchup to me is, can we build a running game against this defense? If we can't, are we going to have to rely on our passing attack? And if we do have to rely on our passing attack, can it be effective enough to at least get the victory here? Lars, what's your thoughts on this matchup?
So you're not wrong, but the ironic part is the strength of this defense is the secondary. Now, stay with me here. The reason that they're giving up so many yards through the air is because they have zero pass rush. Zero. Like Zach Durfee is basically the guy. And so with him being out, I think Bryce Butler had 2 sacks against Rutgers, sack and then an air sack at that point, because I don't think the first one actually was. But that's neither here nor there. It's in the stat book now. They don't really have consistent pressure from anywhere else. I mean, Jacob Lane has 2.5 sacks, I think, to lead the team. He's a good player. Jacob Lane is a very good player in terms of what he came out of high school as a 3-star out of Emerald Ridge. I guarantee if you ask 9 out of 10 people on the West Coast, they're probably not picking out where that high school is, even if they're into recruiting. The reason I say that is you can have good players, but there's no guarantee of him every single week making an impact like that, having a 1-2 sack performance, being a true edge rusher in that sense. Isaiah Ward would be that guy, but he hasn't really emerged in that role. Russell Davis is out for the year, another good pass rusher. Deshaun Lynch, again, finding himself. He's making some plays, but again, makes 1 play and misses 2. There's a lot of question marks when it comes to getting pressure. So the reason kind of Ryan Walters has gone with this, hey, we're going to keep everything in front of us mentality is we have a first-round cornerback in Takario Davis, a first-round safety, arguably, in Alex McLaughlin, and a couple of nice other pieces in Ephesians Prysock, who got his first pick in 2 years since 2023 last week. And so been good but not great. The one area that does concern me with that matchup, and we've not really been talking about it, is Washington gifting Michigan chances to stay on the field. And I say that with penalties because they are one of, if not the most penalized teams in the country, it feels like. The number is trending upwards. And so if Michigan's able to play physical and draw some of those DPIs that Washington seems to just be getting eaten alive by, that's how you mitigate the lack of a run game, is just cause havoc and find a way to extend drives through, ticky-tack penalties or things like that, because Washington's been susceptible to it. And I feel like if they don't have as many penalties, Michigan will have some catches and some yak yards and things like that to make up for it. I am intrigued to see the Andrew Marsh, versus Washington angle here because, as I'm sure you guys know, he was very highly considering Washington at one point in this.
Washington tried to make a move on him. Yeah, they were talking with him. Yeah.
And ironically, and this is no side to Marsh, but Desmond Roebuck has emerged as you'd have the number 2 receiver, and I guarantee nobody knew about him when he signed, even though he was a Gatorade Player of the Year in Arizona. So Washington didn't want to mitigate that, but I think the area of concern for me would be the lack of pass rush combined with staying on the field with penalties. Like that could truly, especially at Michigan, eat them alive.
Currently, you're 4th worst in the Big Ten on penalties, 38 on the year. So that's interesting. So for comparison, Michigan has 24 penalties on the year. So that's interesting.
Yeah, they're about, I think Michigan's like 4 per game. UW has gone 6, 7, and 9. The number is trending up, and I don't see it coming down anytime soon.
6.3 right now a game. That's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and I will say I think that you hit it on the head with Andrew Marsh, obviously being one of the few bright spots of the USC game, really kind of coming into his own in the USC game, I would argue. I think it was like 138 passing yards, really for a true freshman, pretty good, right? Yeah. So can the defense cover him? You mentioned the secondary being one of the bright spots of the defense, so it's going to be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, the one area that I don't think is Marsh is either an X or a Y. He's not a slot guy. So
he alternates. So he's normally Z, but they have been playing him a little bit at X too.
Because the thing that intrigues me is if you can find a way to scheme him open against, say, Leroy Bryant, maybe Rashawn Clark, who he's going to have a height advantage against. Rashawn's the better player, respectfully. I love Leroy, but he just hasn't shown it consistently. Rashawn's a little more physical. But if he's going against Jakario Davis or Ephesians Brysock, I'm taking both cornerbacks 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 times in that match. I mean, that's no disrespect to Andrew, because again, he's going to be a phenomenal receiver at Michigan. Michigan fans will love him in 18 months from now when he's even more dominant as a sophomore. But until you can kind of truly emerge, I'm taking the veteran presence in the back end versus the freshman receiver.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So let's hit this. So every show we ask for the keys to the game first, and then at the end of our segment we'll do predictions. But keys to the game first. We always start with the guest. What does Washington need to do to come to the big house and win? What are a couple of keys to make that happen for Washington?
The first one is have more than a pulse in the first half, where that you can play catch up all you want. You can come back from 20 down in Maryland. You can come back from, I think it was 10 down or 7 down against Rutgers in the first half. You can't do that at the big house. I was at the 21 game when Jimmy Lake was in over his head by a mile, by a country mile, let's be honest there. And this doesn't give me those kind of vibes. Obviously, DeMond played in the whiteout last year at Penn State, so he's got big time experience in terms of playing in those heavy environments in the Big Ten. But it's still the big house. Like, I've been to a few stadiums now, and I still hold the big house up there as one of, if not the best, environments and experiences and games that a college football player can play in. So being able to mitigate that, take the fans out of it a little bit. You're not going to take them all the way out. I guarantee you that. I'm not going to be homerish here and say, shut up, make them mute and that sort of thing, because that's not going to happen. But if you can find a way to be down 20-17.5 or, 10, even 17-10, where you're within a possession, that's way more manageable coming into the third quarter than if you're, again, if you're down more than 2 scores, I don't know about that one.
Yeah. So, so my 3 keys of the game are we got to protect Bryce Underwood. We've got to get him time to throw the ball. Now you're saying, looking at your stats, you don't have anyone who is absolutely wrecking the quarterback right now, getting to the quarterback consistently at least. We should be able to do that, but our offensive line has to hold up. That's number 1. Number 2 is we, as good as you guys are on third down conversions, we have to do our job and get you off the field. So we have to be good this Saturday on third downs. That's big for me. I think if we are not, I really do believe if Washington is able to convert these third downs, the outcome's not going to be good for us. If we can get these guys off the field or cause turnovers, whatever, that's the way we're going to win this game. Lastly, we have got to get pressure on this quarterback, but while getting pressure on this quarterback, you got to contain him because he's going to escape the pocket. He'll make plays with his legs. He'll make it hard for us. So it's going to be interesting. Do they put Cole Sullivan on him? Do they spy him? What is going to be the attack here? That's where I'm at on it. Then John, we're waiting to give predictions, you said?
Yeah, we'll give predictions at the end.
Right.
But I'll do a couple of keys for both. So we'll start with how can Washington win? Well, USC just gave you guys the playbook on how you could beat us, right? Trench play, win in the trenches, stop Bryce at all costs, stop the deep ball, and just make him uncomfortable. And that's probably going to be a key ticket. And making sure that on our D that, obviously you said your secondary is better. So covering the receivers, covering Andrew Marsh, and making sure that, he's contained because he's turning into a real superstar. For Michigan needs to cut the shit and respectfully and get back to Michigan's identity of toughness, physicality, win in the trenches, reestablish the run, and then get Bryce open in the pass. Well, one thing you said, Lars, that was really interesting. It was this wild idea that Jed Fish is giving his quarterback autonomy. And I'm thinking to myself, Bryce, let's give him the power to run the ball, encourage him to do what he sees as the best option. I just feel like there's still a little bit of I can't prove it, but I could just get a general sense there's still a little bit of hesitation or restriction or just not quite trusting Bryce. I think let Bryce cook and then help him out with a strong run game and strong O-line, and that's the ticket. So let's hit predictions. Lars, how do you think this game's going to go?
So I think Washington covers. A lot of me wants to say it's a 28-25 game. It's not going to be a blowout. I don't think anything like that. There's a lot of me that wonders what Michigan is, but then at the same time, Washington went 0-7 on the road last season. Jed Fish phoned up Mike McDonald, somewhat of a former Michigan man there, and asked him some advice because the Seahawks are 9-1 in their last 10 on the road under Mike McDonald. Ironically, the one they lost was at Detroit. So I'm not really sure if Jed should be listening on that trip or not. But I do think that Washington finds a way to squeak it out. Had Michigan not had the USC game preceding this, I would bet on Michigan winning, but Washington keeping it close. I think there's something about Jed in this season where I'm not going to dive too far deep into it, but Roman and I both agreed once we found it out, it's either a 2-10 season or a 10-2 season, and there's no in between. And right now they're 5-1, so 4-1, 5-1, somewhere in that ballpark. So I think with a win this weekend, that would do a lot for Washington. And let's be fair, say what you will about the Ohio State Michigan thing. 24-6 wasn't as bad as it looks. Yeah, I know it sounds bad, and you didn't score a touch.
First half was going good. I was rooting for you, Lars. You let me down.
I picked them to win. I picked UW to beat Ohio State. I thought they actually had the horses to do it, but they're not there yet. I do think, again, not to be a dunking on your
all right.
But no. I was going to say that Michigan is not Ohio State this year.
Well, our team base is coming at our team right now. You're all right.
So, I think, believe me, there's some people that still don't like Jed. So I feel like every fan base has that. But there's enough that Washington can win this game. I do think it's going to take truly all three levels where the special teams, my word, it's Grady Gross when he's not facing Rutgers this season has been great. But last season was rough. 23, he was immaculate getting him to the national championship game against Michigan. So, is Sharon Moore a better coach than Jed? Is Jed a better coach than Sharon? This season, Jed's been perfect. Pretty much darn near perfect in that respect, where last season I had so many questions about him and his ability to call plays, shall we say, where I asked him the question, what would cause you to give up play calling? And he's like, never. So, that goes, okay, I get that. But, and I understand that. But also, you can be your own worst enemy. And I think Jed's been Damon's best friend instead of his own worst enemy. And so I think if that can continue, if Jonah can find the end zone, you're going to need a takeaway or two. I like Bryce Underwood, again, in a year or two from now, but not this year. You hit it on the head to start, TJ. If Justice Hayes does not play in this game, that is a massive difference. Otherwise, I think if he plays, then my score prediction would probably be 31-26 Michigan.
Yeah, so I actually think the spread's interesting, being 5.5. I think it was 6.5 earlier in the week. I think that's honestly crazy. I would have the spread probably about 2.5.
Yep.
So what's funny is you said 28-5 initially. I'm actually, where I'm standing is 27-24 Michigan, but I will say, and I know a lot of the fan base agrees with me, we can see Washington winning this game. Because we are going through an identity crisis right now as a program, which is why Sharon Moore wore his blue collar shirt this week, so we can get back to what we used to be. We'll see if it rallies the troops or not. But yeah, this, and I don't know if you know this, Lars, if you've been paying attention to the Michigan media at all. This is a big game for us. Like, we need this victory. This is going to be very telling to the direction of the program for us. It is at home, so I love that. But this is going to be a tough one, and I think Washington's going to give us a good fight. I really do.
I agree.
Yeah.
I was going to say real quick, I agree with that. I have always thought, and this is a random segment, but I'll tie it together, where Mike Norvell, never been a big believer in him. And watching FSU's fall from grace, I don't put Sharon on that same trajectory, but I have never been a true believer in Sharon. Just looking at it from an outsider's perspective, I thought he was a good, position coach, a great recruiter, a phenomenal recruiter. There's no doubt about that. Zero to take away there. But the difference between him being an assistant O-line coach, an associate head, whatever you want to call it, and being the guy running the show, it gives me 6-6, 8-4 vibes more than it does, hey, this is the guy to win us a national championship. It's no, he can help you be on a staff that wins a national championship, but I don't think he can get you there. Whereas I think Jed is way more likely to get UW and Damon to a national championship than Sharon and Bryce.
A lot of the fan base is having that debate right now. I mean, and just so you know, Jed's name comes up in our circle or our conversations of potential coaches to go after because of the connection to Michigan.
So I would just say that Jed would like that from the perspective of he gives me the sense of a guy where if he's the number one ticket in town, that's what he wants to be. But I'm not sure the family would be, I'm not saying that they don't like Ann Arbor. I'm just saying they're more of a warm weather family, if that makes sense. And I'm not sure Ann Arbor falls in that category. But then again, Seattle doesn't either. So,
yeah.
So for me, like has been talked about, this is a game that feels like a must-win game to save the season. And not just save the season, but maybe even save the program. And I really do think that there could be some like, if this game goes the way we don't want, that there could be a Penn State like fall off after this game. I really do think that it could be that bad, because like this game is so important for confidence. It's important to show that things have improved, get the right people in the right spots. And because of that, Sharon, just when his back is against the wall, or when he feels like he has to do it, he finds a way to do it and use his talent. See Ohio State, see the ReliaQuest Bowl, see when he was interim head coach, right? I just think he knows that this is a big game for him. He's going to get scrutinized heavily if he loses. 30-27 Michigan. But it's going to be a tight one, and Washington is going to give us all that Michigan can handle.
I like that. I think we're all in the unison that they're covering the spread of 5.5. I thought it was 4.5 at one point in the open on FanDuel, but that was at like midnight on Saturday after I was going through some scores and things like that. So maybe my eyes were deceiving me, but it always seemed like a 1.5, 2.5, max 3 spread, never beyond that. So Washington will cover. The question is, do they get the money line, which they're 5-1 on the money line this year? If you're picking Washington straight up, it's a fair bet, but the question is, can they, actually win it on the road? This is going to be their biggest test on the road so far. That said, when we talk about what is Washington's record at the end of the season, the only loss that I could truly see right now is Oregon. And that's even still debatable because that's at Husky Stadium. Like, every game is winnable. Will they win it? No. Washington will not run the table. But
maybe
put some respect on UCLA's name, man. They're doing good.
Neuheisel's been picking it up over there, huh?
Except who's the head coach? Do any of us know who the actual interim head coach is? Because I honestly thought it was Jerry for half a minute there. Not gonna lie.
I don't.
Yeah,
I'm looking. I don't. Honestly, Tim Skipper.
Yeah, and I Tim something, and I'm like, hey, Tim's the guy.
That sounds made up. That sounds made up.
UCLA is that one game. UCLA is that one game for Washington every year. It seems like, though, where I think Kalen actually in 22 lost to him down in Westwood. So anything's possible.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this too. Last point on it, Lars. I'll tell you this right now. If you guys out physical us and bully us on the field, our fan base is gonna have a meltdown. Because right now we are not the bully on the field in all of our games so far, and that's I'll just say
us.
Yeah, it's a very uncomfortable feeling for us. So we'll see. This will be a test, and this is a big test for us. I'm telling you, and I'll tell you, I do believe Michigan's going to be locked in for this game. But it doesn't matter how locked in you are if you don't execute. So we're gonna find out, man. I mean, I don't know. It's a big one for us. Are you going to this game? Are you going to be in Ann Arbor?
Unfortunately, I won't be. Kind of to make some decisions, on which games I would go to this season. So having been to the 21 game, little PTSD. I got to meet El Presidente that weekend though, so that was cool. Yeah. But other than that, I don't really tend to remember much from that game because it was a bloodbath in Michigan's favor.
Yeah.
But I will say Ann Arbor is beautiful. It's a great place. And, the parking, my word, like beautiful access. Love it.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, we had fun, didn't we, TJ?
Yeah, and we're going, next spring we'll be back. So, all right, Lars. Well, appreciate you coming on, man.
There it is.
Yeah, this was us at the spring game.
Nice.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on. Good luck. Well, not too much good luck, but have good luck the next 3 days, and then after that, your luck will end. But no, we appreciate you, Lars. Thanks for coming on, buddy. John, should we let them know where we can find them, where they can find them?
Yeah, Lars, let everybody know where they can find your work and follow you and all that good stuff.
So yeah, I write for Huskies Wire, part of the USA Today network with Roman, who's also I co-host Locked On Huskies with. Every now and then, we'll get some people on. We have Jake Budd on pretty recently. Number of guys that come on, and it's kind of a fun carryover to where basically we try not to do. Hopefully, I got 2 kids, by the way. So the reason I couldn't go to Ann Arbor is. But no, they're a handful, but I love them. But yeah, no, Locked On Huskies, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, pretty much anywhere you can listen to a podcast. And then Huskies Wire. Shout out, if you want to look into the writing stuff, I have the Mike McDonald article up today about Jed giving him a call and diving into that a little bit because it's the road element here is interesting, but as Jed also said, I was in the NFL for 14 years. We never once talked about what time the kickoff was going to be, and it's like okay, there's things that go on in the building that never see the light of day on the media, but it's still somewhat talked about. It's a factor, but it's a prime game, prime time. Ann Arbor, Fox, 12:30, 12:30. No, 12. It's a 12 p.m. kickoff, 12. Right? Yep. Yeah. That's Eastern. The light's going to be on. So I no matter who wins, we are going to learn a lot about both teams. That is for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Lars, appreciate you joining us, man, and we'll talk soon.
Take care, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Lars. All right. Another great preview. I feel like we're undefeated with our media guests just coming on and crushing it. Lars from Locked On Huskies. Check out his work, and all the links are in the chat to check out his work. All right, TJ. Well, with that said, we do have a couple more super chats to hit real quick. So Michigander says, and I'll have to check the tape on this one. Michigan has yet to run a single read option. And that really does make me go through every play. I mean, RPO, yes, but like an old school read option where it's set up literally Bryce and then running back has the option to pull it, keep or
I would
hand it off.
disagree. I would disagree.
I feel like we've seen it
positive.
a
We saw
little.
read options in the Oklahoma game.
Yeah, definitely RPOs.
On the CMU game, and the Nebraska game.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen a couple of them.
Yeah.
But not, to your point, not a lot. Like I definitely see a lot of shotgun, a lot of like RPO stuff. Obviously, the inside zone run plays are the Michigan DNA, and they always love running those, even though the line isn't there to really accommodate it all the time.
Wasn't the running play that Bryce did against, was it Central? Wasn't that read option? Where was it? Or no, maybe it was just, I don't remember now. I don't remember.
Yeah, I feel like there's at least a couple. There were a couple of them. Captain with the 10. TJ, tell Branch to take that stupid ass green mouthpiece out of his helmet. Go blue. Okay.
I actually like it. I like it. I like it because no one's doing it in the league. Nobody's wearing that green mouthpiece in the helmet like that. I think it's like, his thing. I think it's kind of cool. I mean, it's definitely different and it definitely sticks out. And I'm surprised the league even allows it because anything uniform wise, they'll fine you over. But I don't know. But I mean, hey, you know what, Kev Stab, you don't got to worry about it next game because he's suspended. Although he is appealing it, so we'll see if he plays Monday night or not.
And even though this isn't a super chat, Mike Rotunda, I think, with a really great comment. This game is so important for Michigan. This game is for the soul of the Michigan program. I love that. How the Moore make some adjustments? I really do think this is the pivotal game to see, can Michigan come back from that ass whooping.
The fan base is on the flipping edge right now. They're on the ledge. The fan base is on the ledge right now, man. Like, there are so many fans ready to jump ship. Really. And I think we, I'm not there. I'm not like ready to jump ship. Maybe because I just have a little more patience, and I also understand that Sharon's not going to be gone this year. But I'll say this: if we get bullied on that field, I'm not going to be happy. I'm gonna probably go off Saturday.
Oh,
because that's fucking unacceptable, bro. If we get bullied on that field, I'm gonna. Yeah, we may start calling jobs.
To borrow from the poet Kendrick Lamar, to borrow from Kendrick Lamar, we will be popping off and showing him if Washington does what USC did. Don't you worry about that.
If they are beating us by multiple, I mean, like, then Saturday is gonna be a bloodbath. Like, the fan base is already. I think Minnie said it best. I don't know if she's still watching. Shout out to Minnie. Michigan Monday podcast, dope new show we got going on with me and Minnie on Mondays, 7:00. But she said something that I think is very accurate. A lot of the fan base is 1 foot in, 1 foot out right now. They don't want, and that's the thing too. The thing is too, the fan base doesn't want to give up on Sharon Moore. They don't want Sharon to fail. They don't want, but I'm talking as if I'm an observer, which I am, but I'm a fan as well. We are just frustrated with the results, and it's just unacceptable. So we'll see how this plays out this week.
Here's one from CJ Mike, which I would be shocked if there's no discussions happening. TJ, have we not contacted Andrew Olesh yet? I'd be shocked if we aren't.
Yeah, not sure. But I will say Dad was wrong. Dad made the wrong decision. Mom was right after all. I mean, it's true what they say. Moms are always right. Mom was definitely right. She wanted Michigan. Dad wanted Penn State. Dad didn't want Michigan because he was concerned about the NCAA and what it could mean postseason. Well, long story short, 6 games or 5 games into Andrew Olish's young freshman career, the head coach of Penn State is gone. So we'll see. I don't know. I think it's interesting. If we could pull Andrew Olish in the portal, that'd be epic. That kid's a special player. Like he's on the level of like your Hiders, I mean, he's not generational like Underwood or anything, but he's like your Andrew Marsh, your Babaloa. Like he's like borderline 5-star type kid, elite tight end.
Yeah, that one was, I'd say, the one that stung the most.
Yeah, it fucking stung.
Like way more than Calvin Russell. And I mean, Calvin Russell was a surprise, but I kind of saw it. I kind of felt it going that way.
Yeah, no. The Andrew Olish loss last cycle would have made that class perfect. Perfect. Oh, well. We'll see how it goes. Maybe it works out.
Charles Lewis says the loss of
100%.
Ben Herbert hurts. The team is soft now, and recruiting Jim last few seasons wasn't great because of the NFL flirting. Charles, you absolutely nailed it. And I said this Saturday, I think that the loss of Ben Herbert was one of the toughest assistant coach losses since Jed Fish. You can throw Jesse Minner in there too. That was a big one, but I think Ben Herbert was such a pivotal component to this program, and now he's off at the Chargers.
Yeah, so losing Ben Herbert, the team identity and mental fortitude we can all see is we're losing it. We're losing it. And Justin Tress is somebody I think needs to go this offseason, in my opinion. Time to get a new strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah. I think we need to upgrade there. Go Blue 982 with the $2. I'd take Les Miles from retirement over this. He's off enjoying some grass eating, and if you give him a call, I'm sure he wouldn't mind coming back and delivering 10-7 losses.
Would never happen.
I'm sure that would be a real great improvement. Yeah.
He let's just say he's not welcome back to Michigan. He may or may not have had some relations with some coaches' wives.
Uh-oh.
In the 90s.
Speaking of relations, how about Coach Ed O? I'd take him over Les Miles.
No way. He wouldn't
take him over Les?
Yeah, sure, because Les isn't going to happen. But I mean,
right.
Orgeron would not fit Ann Arbor. Hell no.
He'd be fun at least.
He'd be fun. It'd be fun for about a year, and then the pitchforks are coming.
Nah. Yeah, I'm not talking serious.
His wife he used to have would be gorgeous, bro. She left him though. I think she left.
I could see. I think what would be fun is him as Coach O at UCLA. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
And I think he should keep Neuheisel as the OC, and he could actually like do some damage potentially.
Yeah.
We got Keel here. So Keel is predicting a Michigan victory, which is interesting. Keel, as we know, is a Buckeye fan. 23-17 Michigan victory.
Hey, we'll take it.
So that's kind of in alignment with some of our predictions. I think we predicted it's going to be a little closer than that, but I wouldn't be surprised about a 23-17. And I also wouldn't be surprised about a 23-17 going the other way for Washington. I don't know what we're going to see because I've seen Michigan look really good at times this year. And then I saw what I saw against USC where it just all fell apart, it felt like. And I don't know what I'm going to see on Saturday. I really don't. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's what's frustrating is I don't know. Yeah, interesting.
Doreen reminding everybody to like and subscribe. Thank you so much. We've got Joe here dropping the 20 here at the end of the show. The program has lost its edge. Don't wait. Clean house. Ronin is not the guy. Teams can we at least wait till after the Washington game? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying wait even the rest of the season. Just wait one more game and see if they rally. Teams under good head coaches improve or at minimum are disciplined, fundamentally sound. 24-10 Washington. Wow.
If that happens, the fan base is going to lose it. If I'm going to tell you right now, if we get bullied on the field, if we lose by multiple scores, Sharon's cooked. I mean, just in terms of the fan base will be so out, man. And the defenders are going to have a hard time defending. Because there are some defenders out there. There are still some. And the reason why they're defending, by the way, is because they're concerned about, losing player turnover is essentially what which is a fair concern. Yeah, let's hope not. Let's hope not. Let's hope not.
Man, that's just looking at that score makes me cringe because I know it's possible. That's the worst part. I know it could happen. Michigander 499. Why don't we ever run any short, quick plays? Everything is always designed for 10 plus yards. Well, we do. We do run some.
I think we run a lot of
we've run some slants, some crossing routes. We've run some kind of just little routes here and there, maybe a corner, maybe I've kind of seen a bunch of shorter now, to your point, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get Bryce out to try to get him to launch it more. Remember, that was a big criticism. See, this is the thing. Sharon, I know, is trying to, he has been listening to the criticism because against Oklahoma, we wouldn't have seen that play design that led to the Andrew Marsh touchdown. Wouldn't have seen it against the Oklahoma game, right? And he has been calling timeouts and challenging. He did it last game. Maybe not the right challenge, but this is what I'm saying. I think he's still so new at being a head coach that he's listening to all the feedback everybody's tossing at him, and he is doing stuff. It's just, is it the right stuff at the right time? And that's the question. I can tell he's trying to
he's clearly trying, but I don't think he's listening to us at all. I think he's in the in the fucking the lair. I think he hears the noise, but he's not listening to the noise. And I think he's locking in. I think he's got some Michigan versus everybody mentality right now. But we'll see if that pays off for him. I don't know what that means in terms of results on the field, but I don't think he's truly listening to us. I don't. I think Sherrone Moore is kind of in his own bubble right now.
And then DF says the opposite. We run too many. Probably alluding to
I think there's a lot of quick plays, to be honest with you. But I mean, look, you got to think of it this way. Our offensive line cannot protect Bryce long enough. We got to do quick plays. Plus, our wide receivers, quite honestly, have had trouble separating. Getting the quick play off is one of the ways to at least get some separation from the DB.
Yeah. CJ Mike asks, why don't we go after Jamil Walker? Julian Walker's dad from South Carolina worked under Herbert.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think, honestly, what Michigan needs to do is get a whole new strength and conditioning staff in here, top of the line type shit. They need to go after an elite staff because we need to get our shit together. I really think I am a very firm believer that that's an issue now. Because look at the mentality of this team is not what it was. We're not as strong as we used to. We're not the bully on the field anymore. We're not outlasting teams like we used to, even though I know we were rotating guys and we are still rotating. We had 10 defensive linemen in rotation. That said, I just don't see the same level of mental fortitude that this team. Now, granted, I will say, interesting stat today that I'm going to give a shout out here to Double BB. Let me see if I can find this, John. Michigan has, I'm sure I can find this. Hold on. Michigan has right here the youngest to oldest teams in college football in the Big Ten. Michigan is the youngest team at 20.54 years. we're the youngest team. So you have a young team with an inexperienced staff. It is tough to show mental fortitude on the field. I would argue that is a bit of a challenge, but still, though, I think we're lacking in terms of physicality on the field as well.
And this comment, I think this is a really valid comment that I wanted to highlight from member The New Life. Every pass has to be a rollout because the O-line can't pass protect. And while I don't think it's every pass, I do think you see a lot of play action rollout concepts, a lot of boots, a lot of those types of plays to just disguise the fact that the line just isn't getting it done right now. It's just not. I mean, that is literally the biggest problem, is the line, which is sad when Sharon Moore is the head coach and he's supposed to be the line guy. Like, that is sad, to be honest.
That's frustrating. It's such a letdown. But also, can we just be honest? The recruiting classes of 23 and 24 and even 22, which is when the NIL era began, were not good enough. So there is a lack of talent in certain areas. Like, there's gaps, I guess what I'm trying to say. For example, left tackle's a gap. Wide receiver room, there's a gap. Defensive line, we don't have that edge rusher, even though Barham is a guy who's opposite of Barham. Interior pass rush, we don't have, even though Benny should be better, man. Benny's really regressed this year. So we have these areas where there are gaps. And it's because of the poor recruiting cycles the years before NIL, because Michigan was too slow to adapt. Yeah, and I could go in right now on a certain segment of the fan base who is not for evolving their NIL, but I'll just leave it alone. Deep down,
If you know, you know.
You know.
Here's an interesting question. Michigander is recommending that we go after West Alabama head coach Scott Cochran, who was who is 5-0 at West Alabama right now and was strength and conditioning for Alabama for 12 years, and then for Georgia for multiple years, and now
this
coaching
is the
at West
guy.
Alabama.
Wasn't this? Yes, it is. This is the dude who really went through he went through some shit recently, didn't he? He had to step away from football. Yeah, when he was at Georgia,
some prescriptions or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was. He was he got addicted to the medication.
Whoops.
Not saying that's not a reason to hire the guy, because you can always. I do believe in people redeeming themselves, but I'm not sure my guy's ready to coach at a Power 4 level like this.
Yeah, just watch out for that oxy.
If we hire, okay, thanks for the warning, Dan. Hey, on some real shit, watch out for that Adderall. That shit will get you. I got that. But yeah, when I was doing the corporate ladder climb. But no, what Michigan needs is they need if they are to make a hire, it needs to be a hire that creates buzz. Like, they don't need a first-time head coach. That's not what we're like. Even though I know Scott Cochran's not, but I mean, we don't need a first-time head coach.
Technically, he's the head coach of West Alabama. So
yeah.
Look out. Maybe he means as strength and conditioning replacement, because he was strength and conditioning for so many years. Because that was
I like it. I like it.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
That's what he meant.
He was an elite coach. He was an elite strength and conditioning coach. You're right. I agree.
Yeah, I think that's what he meant.
Then I agree.
Charles, hate all the soft coverage. Would rather see us get beat playing tight, force teams to execute. Yeah, like a lot of man coverage instead of zone.
Well, Zeke Berry's back, so he was playing good. Sanders has been playing well. For a freshman, he gave up the touchdown, but Jair's been hot and cold. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. But here's the problem with running man. Here's the problem with running man. If you are not getting pressure on the quarterback, which we did not against USC, you will get cooked running man. You will get cooked. So if we are getting pressure to the quarterback, yeah, you can run more man. If you are not getting pressure to the quarterback, that would not be good. That'd be very bad for us.
Yep. And yeah, it is a problem getting to the quarterback right now. Barham has seemed to have some success doing it in other games, but not so much
against USC. We couldn't do anything.
Couldn't do anything. Go Blue says, if we lose to UW, I kind of hope Day puts 100 on more. I don't. To force him to get rid of the staff. Yeah, I'm a bad. No, I always want us to beat Ohio. I don't care. I know it would be strategic to get rid of more. I can't ever root for Ohio State.
I mean, I get
just
it.
Can't do it.
It's
I get
the
it,
rip.
but
It's the rip the Band-Aid off mentality. Yeah, I can't even. All right, fuck, dude. That's a really good, interesting question because I wouldn't be able to do it either, John. But like, and we're not going to do it because it's the end of the show. But an interesting poll would be, and I'm going to tell you right now, if people saw this poll, they'd question us as fans. But again, this is not our position. We're just asking the question. But like, if you could guarantee Sharon to be gone if we lost to Ohio State, would you take the loss to Ohio State? Like, it guarantees you a new head coach. Don't know who the head coach is, but it guarantees Sharon's gone if we lose to Ohio State. Would you take that loss to Ohio State? Crazy. It's an interesting question.
I don't think I could. I just don't think I could ever root or even like hope for that. I just Michigander did say I meant to get Scott as strength and conditioning, so that's what I figured.
Fair enough. I agree.
Vijay, I love this. So Vijay says with the $1.99.
I think it's VJ.
Vijay. Thank you for the $1.99. Hope PSU gets a major land. Sets bar for us at head coach. I think he's going to get Matt. I think you're going to get Matt Rule personally.
I'll tell you this: the fact that Penn State was willing to play big boy football, drop $56 million, buy that coach out. Let's see the move they make. Respect it. They are operating like a real football program. Good for them. Let's see what they do with it.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of that move. I love that AD. He just seems
ballsy.
like he's built to fucking.
That's an SEC play, bro.
Grass nuts on the table, and he said, "No, we're not accepting this shit. We're going to go out and get someone legendary, someone better who can win big games." I think they're going to swing for they might call Urban, they might not get him, but I think they're going to call everybody.
Saban's interesting. I mean, it's a lot of interesting names potentially. The Matt Rule one I think is interesting. I don't think that's a good fit, by the way, but I mean, he's from that area, so I get it. But I will say, if you wanted any more of an indication that Big Ten is really evolving into, like, if not the top conference, like right there with SEC, Penn State just did some SEC shit. Big Ten wouldn't have done that 5-6 years ago. They wouldn't have done that.
Michigander says, would you call Franklin to join the rest of the year? No, Franklin.
Yeah, it wouldn't even work.
No way.
It wouldn't even work. It wouldn't even work because there comes a point where if you have too many alphas, you don't work together. You don't work well together.
So we got about one more minute here, running up against it. So I just want to remind everybody that Michigan Wolverines call-in show live. TJ and Johnny Olden's Thursday night at 8. Michigan post-game live after the game on Saturday. Follow us on X. Appreciate everybody being here, hitting that like button, contributing, all of that good stuff. And until next time, folks, go blue, and we will see you soon.